All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, hope you guys had a great weekend. Obviously, there's so much playoff action going on both Saturday and Sunday. But today, Monday, we got the Steelers at Bills at 4:30, and then, of course, tonight, Eagles at Bucks. And I'm over in Tampa just for the weekend, and I'm seeing all the signs and stuff like that, like the billboards for the playoff game. It's crazy. But in this one, I wanted to talk about a little podcast episode with Odell Beckham. Obviously, he shared some insight on his free agency process last season. And of course, he wasn't one of the first guys to go, like in the first couple of waves of free agency. He was out there for a little bit and ultimately ends up signing the 1 year, I believe it was around $15 million contract with the Baltimore Ravens. But on the podcast, he talked about his decision-making process and kind of shared some details on what happened. And of course, the New York Jets came up. Why? Because he was so close to signing with the New York Jets. I mean, those rumors were real. The Jets had the money to pay him. We all heard about the Aaron Rodgers connection and how Rodgers wanted Beckham in New York and all these different things. And clearly, the Jets needed help at wide receiver. Oh, and of course, I'll leave the podcast episode link down below in the description box if you want to check it out. But essentially, Odell Beckham Jr. wanted to go to the New York Jets, right? Return to New York. That's where he said, like, his heart was kind of pulling him to. The Jets, again, New York. He said he was DMing, I believe it was the punter. He was DMing the punter for like a number exchange. And he was getting super excited. The day before the official visit with the Jets, and by the way, all those rumors are, apparently were true. All the rumors and reports with Beckham being, linked to the Jets, day after day after day, all that stuff, obviously was true. So the day before his official visit, the Ravens called him up and said, hey, if you get on the plane, we're going to pull the offer. And then from that point, Beckham said that from the Jets side of it, they were acting like they had the best offer. They were acting like they were kind of like the best situation. And, there was a level of disrespect there. And, in the end, Beckham chooses Baltimore. And, it's not like OBJ like lit the league on fire or anything like that. But more so than this individual signing, this situation, if what Odell is saying is true, to me, what he was describing was a level of arrogance, which is a word that Jets fans have been linking Joe Douglas with since really the beginning of the season. Failing to invest in a backup quarterback, failing to improve depth on the offensive line, failing to add wide receivers, failing to pivot, maybe admitting mistakes midway through, learning on the fly, just trying to adjust, read, react, adjust. And that just was not really happening with the Jets. It seemed like we were just kind of coasting by, or like our hands were tied and we weren't allowed to do anything. And man, I gotta be honest, like, I was disappointed when I watched it last night. I caught it during halftime of the playoff game. So, it was, I was kind of like totally invested in the game and whatnot. But, just hearing Beckham kind of say what he said about the Jets, it's just like, man, can we get our stuff together on our side? I really don't like the arrogant mindset, the arrogant approach. Because this is not a one-time thing here. Calais Campbell had a visit lined up with the New York Jets. I think a day prior or a couple days prior, he just chooses to sign with the Atlanta Falcons out of nowhere. Orlando Brown saying that the Jets offered him more money than the Cincinnati Bengals, but he opted to choose the Cincinnati Bengals. So we have three veteran free agents, right? In the case of Orlando Brown, one of the best tackles in football, choose the opposition over New York. And here we have, again in this podcast, the player talk about we're the best situation and whatnot, and not really, maneuvering, for lack of a better term. And again, like, personally, if you're talking about one player, one specific situation, okay, it might be understandable. But if it's a common trend where one team is continuously missing out on like their guy or somebody that they're targeting, I feel like that is a problem with the own team. And there has to be some sort of self-awareness there. There has to be a point where Joe Douglas, and hopefully that point has been reached by now, because essentially a whole year has gone by since then, since this whole free agency debacle. Hopefully Douglas has looked himself in the mirror and said, man, you know what? My record isn't good. Salah's record isn't good. My free agents aren't panning out. A lot of my draft picks aren't panning out. Although we have a lot of really, really good players in-house, there's still tons of holes on the roster. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And we got to turn this thing around immediately. So I'm hoping there might be that change of approach this go round, this offseason, because as we all know, everybody is staying. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you think it's a big deal? Do you think it's no big deal whatsoever? Like we were saying before, it's not like Odell Beckham was like a top 5 wide receiver and the Jets just completely missed out on him. What are we doing? All hell breaks loose. There's tons of panic. No, it was just, at the time, a veteran wide receiver move late into the process. It's not like the Jets, we didn't lose the season on this one move, but I think there's more that there's more that meets the eye with Beckham's comments regarding the organization, which personally have me a little bit worried with how we operate, how we do business. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the playoff games today. And as always, go Jets.